Alright, with SKYWARP added to the Seekers, here we have them. All of them here. I still think we need more. What's going on, everybody? Republic Cinema here, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers Studio Series SKYWARP from the Bumblebee movie. So finally, after 3 years, Hasbro completes the main Seekers with SKYWARP here, and when a lot of people saw this, they were wondering, where did all the black go? As in G1, SKYWARP was black and purple, but mostly black. However, Bumblebee SKYWARP is different as he does not have any black paint, but still does retain the purple. Just not enough purple. Perhaps that should have been the question we were supposed to ask. I mean, I'm sure it's not that big of a deal. But anyways, before we take a look at the figure, let's take a quick look at the packaging. So starting off in the front, here we have this nice CGI artwork for SKYWARP. On the top is a Transformers Bumblebee movie logo, and on the bottom is all boring. On one side is a more zoomed out look to SKYWARP, and on the other side is a more zoomed in look to SKYWARP's face. And then turn to the back, you get a little bit more info on what you get inside the packaging. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the box art. Now back to the figure. So starting off, painting and sculpting is pretty good. The sculpting is pretty much the same as Studio Series Thundercracker. The painting is of course different, after all this is SKYWARP. I do like how accurate some of the purple is around the figure's chest. However, as accurate as this is, this grayish bluish paint for the limbs was probably not too great of an idea when designing Bumblebee movie Starscream as a whole, because then he just comes out a little plain in certain areas. Oh, and this time around, rather than the black head sculpt being glossy, that's not there anymore, but still a good looking head sculpt design. And of course there is like barely or little to no kibble on SKYWARP. I'm not sure if this counts, but this doesn't necessarily affect anything. And QC on my figure is not all that bad. Most of the joints here are pretty tight, especially at the knee. Nothing's too loose here, except maybe the wings, but even then, that's not too much of a big deal. I just wish after moving this section out, it would clip into place like right around there. I believe that's how that went with Starscream and Thrusts, and Thundercracker too, but for SKYWARP, not so much. That's kind of unfortunate. But other than that, that's kind of a minor complaint. It doesn't necessarily affect anything for this guy's quality. And now moving on to accessories. So starting off with his two null rays, which simply go on the wings, and of course this nice looking blaster arm cannon, which simply plugs onto the hand, and there you go, there's SKYWARP fully equipped. Now, one thing that's been a problem with the Seeker mold is for some reason, when plugging the arm cannon onto the arm, it always ends up looking a little odd. I guess you could say it's straightened if you have it in a certain angle, but it's still lopsided, which is why I think if Hasbro ever decides to do more Seeker repaints of that Starscream mold, I feel some of them should not just come with the arm cannon, but also a rifle, as certain Seekers were seen equipped with rifles rather than arm cannons. In case they consider giving some Seekers rifles rather than arm cannons, I find it best they would use the Starscream rifle. In case the rifles they had in the Bumblebee movie were a little different to Soundwave's, then I guess they could do like a remold. But for now, I guess the Seekers will be equipped with the lopsided arm cannons, which is not much of a big deal unless you look at it too closely. Forgot to mention you could also have SKYWARP holding the null rays on his hand, which, while it is an awkward thing to do, at least it does hold better than the arm cannon. Well, in a way. Well, anyways, I think that's pretty much it for accessories. Now moving on to articulation. Starting off, slight ball joint at the head, which can allow the head to move up and down, and swivel. The wings can move back and forth, can also move up and down, and this little wing can rotate. Full rotation at the arm, bend at the shoulder, bicep swivel, bend at the elbow. I don't know if this counts as it is meant for transformation, but the wrist can move up and down. No waist swivel, but there is a hip swivel. This thing can move up and down. The legs can spread, leg can move forward and backwards, thigh swivel, bend at the knee, the foot can move up and down, and lastly can pivot. And that's pretty much it for articulation. Now moving on to size comparison. Starting off with Starscream, Thrust, Thundercracker, Blitzwing, Soundwave, Shockwave, Megatron, Shatter, Dropkick, Rumble, Sunstreaker, B-127, and lastly, here he is next to the Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. And the gang's all here, minus some figures that are set to release later on this year, that being Frenzy, and we're also missing a plethora of Seekers, that being a light blue, dark green, light purple, and a red version of Seeker, Redwing.
Forgot to mention Sunstorm.
Maybe even a Dirge and Ramjet, which of course could be repainted from the thrust mold, after all of those are cone heads. Oh, and Cybertronian versions of Shatter, Dropkick, and Blitzwing. Blitzwing would be easy. Shatter and Dropkick not so much, as they would essentially need a new mold in order for a Cybertronian version. If so, I hope those are the best versions the Studio Series can offer in terms of Shatter and Dropkick. If they were to do a Cybertronian version of Blitzwing, however, that would be easy. But just for the fun of it, I think they should have one paint variation, where his head is accurate and his head is that one prototype version that was in the product shot for this guy. Because why not? But yeah, let me know in the comments which figure you think would be great to see in the Bumblebee movie from the Decepticons, and let me know in the comments which one out of the current bunch is your favorite. And now I think it is time we get down to transformation, which it's been a while since I transformed this guy, but I should remember the steps. Obviously, the first step is to fold the hand, straighten the arm, same thing for the other side, unfold this part, push that in, also same thing for the other side, open this up, move this entire assembly out, make sure you can get this to go through, and leave the legs over there for now. Just make sure this is over this part right here. Move the arms up. It helps to move this down so you can untab this entire section and then rotate it backwards. And then you might also want to rotate the arm right here and then push it all the way down. And then same thing for the other side. Unfold these two panels, move the nose cone out until you hear a click, close the panels, push this down, and now we work on the legs. So starting off, unfold this entire assembly, fold in the feet. Another thing you might want to take note is make sure this is straightened. Rotate the leg, unfold this entire assembly, make sure it closes in, move this section out, and then leave this panel upwards for now. Make sure the head section is over this tab, and make sure that tab pegs onto that purple slot right there. And pretty much the same thing for the other side of the leg, only the other leg had this fin that you had to unfold. Make sure you unfold that as well. Close these two together, fold these two panels in together as well. After that, move the wings down, and then for weapon storage, here comes the cool part. Plug the null right onto that side right there. Same thing for the other side. And lastly, you want to make sure that this squarish slot pegs it onto that tab right there. Make sure it closes in all the way. And then this slot, you got to make sure it pegs onto that tab right there. In case the arms are a little far out, make sure you push them in a little forward, and then hopefully everything should tab in. And here we have Studio Series SKYWARP in his SEEKER jet mode, which I gotta say is a beautiful looking jet. It was really interesting how Hasbro was able to make both the robot mode and the alt mode accurate, so hats off to them for that. Painting and sculpting, pretty good, pretty good. It's just like the other Seekers, only purple this time, and bluish grayish. Weapon storage was deeply involved with the transformation. However, unlike the robot mode, the alt mode does have a little bit of robot mode kibble, but at least it's not all over the place. Except for the heels, that looks pretty distracting. And for my copy, these like to move out a little too easily because, well, they're loose. But hey, Decepticon Sybil. And since the nose cone is made out of that rubber plastic, obviously the aerodynamics are going to look a little off because that's rubber for you. Also, these little pieces can move up and down. I'm not sure for what purpose though. I've had this type of mold for 3 years now and I still can't figure out what these things are used for. I do recall seeing some videos about it, but it's been a while since. So for any of those who know what these pieces are used for, be sure to let me know in the comments. And now for a brief comparison for the alt modes. Here, SKYWARP is alongside Starscream, Thrust, Thundercracker, and lastly for comparison, here SKYWARP is alongside with all the other Seekers, and I gotta say, they all look good together. But again, Hasbro, if we could get those other 5 different color variations of Seekers, plus a Cybertronian version of Dirge, Ramjet, and Blitzwing, that would be great. Of course, that would be another 8 Seekers, so in total that would probably be like 12 Seekers altogether. Perfect. Let's make it happen. I would love to see and get all of those. Especially a Cybertronian Blitzwing, which I do see happening in the future. But anyways, out of all the Seekers that we have currently in their Cybertronian alt modes, which one's your favorite? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. And I think that's pretty much all I had to say for this guy. Overall, pretty solid repaint. Most definitely recommend picking this figure up if you are looking to get this guy to complete your current Seeker shelf for the Bumblebee movie. If you want to pick this figure up, he's apparently still available for pre-order on Amazon. I'm sure those pre-orders will be in stock real soon, but you have a good chance to find him at Target and Walmart as he is starting to appear in both shelves, and for only $34.99. I said it earlier in the review, but I'll say it again, I really hope Hasbro does more repaints of the Seeker mold, as there's quite the variety. But in case they do plan on doing those repaints, let me know in the comments which one you guys would like to see first. And if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends as well, turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another video, let me know how I did in this upload, and most importantly, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. See ya!